Hi, everyone. It's nice to see some familiar names on here. Just wanted to welcome you all. In today's webinar, we will be sharing what's new on Clever's roadmap for 2021. We'll be talking about upgrading to Clever's newest API, and we'll also highlight what's new for districts this year. Before we get started, I just wanted to share a few housekeeping items. First, please feel free to use the Zoom console to ask questions throughout the presentation. We will save time at the end of the session for Q&A. Second, please stay connected. You are welcome to tweet at Clever using the hashtag EdTech. And last but not least, the session will be recorded and shared with all registrants afterwards. As I mentioned, I see a lot of familiar names on here, but for those of you who I have not had the pleasure of meeting, my name's Megan Kier. I am a partner success manager at Clever. I've been at Clever for 6 years now and originally started on our support team. And I will let Emily introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Emily. I'm the product manager for our Secure Sync product. So I cover everything from rostering to connecting with your districts and making sure you're all set up. I have been at Clever for 6 years as well, and may have worked with some of you while I was on the partner engineering team. And as always, am very excited to tell you about what's on our roadmap for this year.
All right, let's dive in. First, I wanted to quickly just share some context and goals for these quarterly product talks. We started hosting these in 2020, and we share the latest developments on Clever's product roadmap with you all. We know that it's very important for our partners to know about these updates in advance of their districts, so we hope that these webinars leave you feeling knowledgeable and set up for success. We will continue hosting these product talks throughout 2021, so we of course welcome any and all feedback on how we can continue to make them even more valuable for you. This should look familiar. I think it was quite a similar growth trajectory for a lot of companies in EdTech this year. But in addition to 2020 being one of the most pivotal and challenging years in education technology, it should come as no surprise to this group that EdTech usage also really surged as schools turned to distance learning. As thousands of schools closed their doors, we saw over 50% of US students across the US logging in with Clever to access all of your amazing applications. We also grew our community of partners as more and more looked to Clever for enabling seamless implementations and enabling quick access for students and educators. We are very excited to welcome new partners like IXL, Discovery, McGraw-Hill, Project Lead the Way, and many more. While we do recognize that this was a year of growth in education technology, there were also many challenges. A big focus for us last year was addressing how we could continue to support learning in your applications, no matter where it was taking place. To elaborate on that a bit, throughout 2020, we heard a lot of feedback from various users in our ecosystem and very quickly realized that distance learning both exposed new challenges and accelerated existing ones. To name a few of the themes that emerged from our conversations, teachers were challenged with communicating plans and expectations, engaging students remotely, and tracking student progress. Students faced the challenge of understanding what they should be doing and when. Families were a major new player. As many of you know, they really struggled to understand what their kids should be focusing on and how best to help them. And of course, district leaders faced the fundamental challenges of enabling access to technology without exacerbating the digital divide. We're optimistic that many of the solutions to the issues surfaced during remote learning will continue to help with learning engagement when students are eventually back in the classroom. As we reflect on our product roadmap from last year, here you can see how we've approached meeting these evolving needs. The foundation of everything we do at Clever, of course, is seamless integration, simplified data management, and secure access. Many of the features we introduced prior to Back to School 2020 made major impacts in smoothing implementations during that very crazy year. And the next big step forward that we'll talk a lot about today is API v3. For educators, we filled a unique need with newer product features, helping them track participation and attendance, which has been a very important way for educators to find gaps in EdTech usage and address it while students are remote. Another key problem we focused on was communication between various stakeholders. As I'm sure you can all imagine, this has been a huge pain point during distance learning, and districts are excited about the opportunity to put resources and communication tools in one place via Clever. You'll see these core product themes continue into 2021, and we'll discuss a lot of them in more detail today. A lot of you have probably seen versions of this slide before, but we look ahead, we will remain focused on our goal of building out an ecosystem that supports whole learning community and helps you grow your business. When Clever first started back in 2012, we built an infrastructure to really take the friction out of connections between all of our learning application partners and school districts. Over time, we learn from our partners and from districts about how we can be even better about supporting student learning. Right now, that's meant making Clever work well for every stakeholder supporting students. As we look to 2021, we'll continue focusing on supporting our districts and partners' evolving needs. Now, what you have probably all been waiting for, I'm excited to share the 3 biggest initiatives on Clever's 2021 product roadmap. We will dive into details about each of these momentarily, but just to give you a very high level, at the end of last year, we announced our first API release, major API release since 2017, API v3. API v3 is Clever's biggest step forward in flexible data management. With API v3, our partners can better scale to meet each district's unique setups. Next, Clever's App Store for Education. This may be a product you have not heard as much about thus far. Our App Store will be a one-stop destination for district purchasers to discover, vet, and purchase EdTech programs. With engagement from over 65% of schools across the country, there's a lot of opportunity for Clever and for how the Clever App Store can help you grow your business. We also introduced a lightweight messaging tool last year in response to school closures, which has been a smashing success, and we are doubling down on in 2021 in order to even better support communication between teachers, students, and families. As I mentioned, we've already seen extremely high adoption of this new tool, and we're looking forward to exploring how this could help drive more engagement with your applications. I am sure you are now quite eager to learn more, so let's dig in. And with that, I will hand this over to Emily to share more about what's in scope for API v3 and how you can prepare for upgrading to the newest API version.
Thanks, Megan. I'm so excited to announce that API v 3.0 is now available for testing. You may recall that our developer documentation was released in December, so you can go there to check out all of our documentation and start building and testing. But as well, you can now access API v3 and make calls in your development environment. So what is API v3? If you missed the last webinar, we've been working on making sure you can better support each district's unique setup, and districts will benefit from consistent role-based permissions across applications. As a quick review, here are the 4 major changes we've made from our previous versions. First, we're improving support for multi-role users who might be both teachers and administrators within a district, for example. Second, and this is a very exciting piece for a couple of you here, we've made great progress on supporting and better servicing contact data from SISs. Next, we've added more fields and support for staff users in Clever. And finally, we are making content and resource mapping available in our API, which is great if you have a catalog of products that you need to assign to specific classes. This is a little bit specific, so we won't dive deep today, but please reach out to our partner engineering team or your customer success manager if you have questions. All right, as a reminder, The developer documentation is live. It's your main resource for finding out all information related to our APIs, the changes specific to V3, and building your integration. Many of you are already familiar with our documentation and have used our dev docs to create your integrations, but with this new API release, there's a ton of new information, so it'll be really important to go back and read through what's changing. One thing I've heard a lot of questions about is ensuring a smooth transition for users and preserving historical data when migrating from V2 to V3. With the upgrade to V3, we're adding a new field called Legacy ID for teachers and staff users. This will surface the Clever ID that's been historically associated with the user in versions 2 and previous versions. This is because we're merging teacher and staff users based off of email address. And so you'll want to be associating the existing IDs with the new user IDs. The email address matching historically has been extremely accurate. Many of you who support multi-role users today have already been using this strategy. Students' Clever IDs, however, will be preserved throughout all versions of the API. So if you're concerned about historical progress data for students, no worries. It'll be a very smooth transition. We're also developing tools that will allow you to view and replace IDs in bulk. Those are currently under active development. My top priority is making sure that you have what you need to upgrade as soon as possible and definitely well in advance of back to school. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out. I'm happy to make sure that what we build meets your needs. All right, just some quick tips on how to think about our new data model and yours. As a reminder, you can limit which users you'd like to receive using the Data Access tab in your settings. So, for example, if you don't use student contact users or non-teaching staff, we can filter those out in the API so they won't be returned in the users you have access to. This is important to do prior to the move because we want to make sure that you don't have to sift through additional users if you're not going to process that information. Secondly, you may recall from last quarter that we renamed school admins to staff to better reflect how districts were using the school admin user role. And it's becoming even more important to ensure that you are setting the right permissions for users within your system. So with the new staff user role, they will have an additional role field that allows you to double check which permissions you should set for those users. So if you had previously granted school admin users the same access by default, we recommend revisiting how you assign default permissions with this change. And of course, if you are not sure what works best for you, please reach out to our partner engineering team. We're so excited to talk to you guys about how we can make the new version work best for you. All right, finally, to ensure a great experience for application partners and districts, and with industry best practices in mind, Clever will now only support 2 major API versions and all associated minor versions at a time. That means API v1, which is v1.1 and 1.2. The first version was introduced in 2012, and with the release of v3 will be deprecated by December 2022. Our partner engineering team is ready to help with upgrade plans for those moving to v3 and will proactively be reaching out to partners who are using v1. All right, in case you missed it the first 17 times I said it, the dev docs are available at dev.clever.com, and API v3 is live, so you can start making calls with your dev apps, so you can start building and testing. The most popular question I get is, how long will it take to upgrade to API v3? And the answer is really, it depends. It depends on your data model and what features you need. So feel free to reach out to us at integrations@clever.com to determine the best upgrade plan. It is never too early to begin scoping out this work. And with that, I'll hand it back over to Megan to talk about the App Store for Education. But as a quick reminder, please add any questions to the Zoom console so we can make sure we cover them during the Q&A portion.
Thanks, Emily. Next on our product priority list, the Clever App Store for Education. Clever's App Store for Education is the new one-stop destination for district buyers to discover and evaluate products and initiate a sales conversation with your app. For districts, a core benefit of the App Store will be solving a complex and fragmented buying process. For partners, you'll benefit from being able to reach all decision makers in a district in one place and speed up your sales process. We've designed a data-rich and informative user experience where district buyers can see exactly which apps their teachers are using, giving them the confidence to upgrade or purchase products that they know teachers will love. While eventually we'll want to offer a full resale experience, for 2021, we're focused on generating highly qualified leads for your applications. Many of you might now be wondering, what does lead generation via the Clever App Store entail? Our team has been working closely with pilot partners to surface qualified sales leads to their teams, and we're now opening this program up to all Clever partners. Starting this year, you can get featured in the App Store and receive qualified leads from Clever. This is 100% opt-in, so if you or someone on your sales or business development team is interested in learning more, please contact your success manager or email app-store@clever.com. You can also leave us a message in the Zoom Q&A and we'll have the team follow up with you directly. The third major initiative that I outlined at the beginning is messaging, of course. As we've looked at the new ways that learning is occurring, we have heard that one of the most important tools is having the ability to communicate across stakeholders. With millions of students and teachers using the Clever portal daily, Clever is uniquely positioned to solve this challenge. Our messaging feature will serve as a single place where teachers can communicate with students and families to securely share important information. We're excited about the ways our messaging tool can help boost engagement in digital learning and close communication gaps with teachers, students, and families. Some of you may remember that in response to school closures, we rolled out a lightweight messaging tool last spring. We saw a dramatic adoption rate with this feature. Over 15 million messages have been sent since August, and we expect that growth trajectory to continue. In 2021, we're focused on creating an even more robust messaging experience by enabling features like the ability for teachers to communicate directly with parents and allowing teachers and students to attach and upload photos to show their work. As Clever continues to serve as one friendly place for resources, communication, and insights, there are other fundamental aspects of the core Clever experience that we will, of course, continue investing in this year. Our family portal. Clever's family portal launched last year in response to school closures as well, actually, and we have continued to see more and more districts rolling it out, primarily as a place for teachers, students, and families to communicate. A big focus for us this year will be making it even easier for districts or even teachers to directly invite parents to create their own Clever account. We'll also invest in building a mobile-friendly app and ensuring that the Clever portal promotes equitable access by supporting 6 languages. Next up, we have EdTech Analytics. EdTech Analytics is a very important source of insight and knowledge for districts and teachers. We'll continue supporting these analytics dashboards, which districts and teachers rely on for daily participation reports and detailed student activity reports. Last but certainly not least, Clever Academy. Clever Academy continues to be an important resource for all Clever audiences. These Academy courses are free, self-paced, and offer certifications. We now have over 13,000 Clever champions who are experts in using Clever and serving as leaders for their schools or districts in helping train others. Your team can check Clever Academy out yourselves also, or you can point districts to Clever Academy by navigating to clever.com/academy. Also, just a nice reminder that we do always prioritize our investment in data security and privacy, of course. We recently earned the IMS Trusted App Seal for Student Data Privacy, which certifies that Clever has successfully completed the rigorous vetting process in regards to its use of student data, specifically data collection, security policies, third-party data sharing, and advertising. Our commitment to data security and privacy serves as the foundation for many of the initiatives that we'll focus on in 2021. And with that, I will wrap this up with a reminder that it is always our goal to ensure that you are informed about our product updates and changes through a variety of resources. As I mentioned at the start of the webinar, we will continue hosting these quarterly webinars through 2021 and beyond. We'll also be sharing regular updates with you all via our monthly partner newsletters and occasional in-product announcements. Lastly, I wanted to highlight how valuable your feedback is for us. Every year we send out an annual feedback survey to our partners. An example of an outcome of this is that this product webinar series actually came from feedback we heard in that survey a couple years ago when partners were asking for more visibility into Clever's roadmap. We want to continue hearing from you, so in the next few weeks, please do keep an eye out for a survey from Clever and take a few minutes to share your feedback. We are very appreciative and thank you so much in advance. And with that, let's take a look at your questions. We should have time to get through most of them, but if we don't answer your question here, fear not, our team will be sure and follow up with you directly. All right. First, we have one that says, Emily, I think this might be a question for you, but API v3, now that API is live, how can I start testing?
Excellent question. So you can start testing with your development accounts. So you will now be able to make API calls to API v3 using your dev app and any connected sandboxes.
Lots of questions about API v3, so Emily, I'm just going to keep lobbing these at you.
Great.
All right. What support or assistance will Clever provide when transitioning from v2 to v3? Specifically reconciling staff identifiers. What does that process look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So our partner engineering team is committed to providing support for all partners who are making this transition. And my team will be rolling out migration tools very soon to help with reconciling these IDs. But if you have any specific questions or want to provide any feedback, please reach out to integrations@clever.com. Would love to have a conversation about how we can make sure you feel really great about this transition.
All right, Emily, if you are up for one more, we have, what do we need to communicate to mutual customers who we migrate from V2 to V3? Are there any steps or considerations they need to be made aware of to ensure a seamless transition?
Yeah, this is an interesting question. It's not strictly necessary to tell districts you are transitioning. We will make it pretty smooth with you guys as you're moving to a new API version. But if you do want to give them a heads up in case anything is going to change in your integration, our partner engineering team can work with you guys on how to support and message that.
All right, now it looks like we have a couple questions from the App Store, and I am going to phone a friend and have our head of partner success, Rob Pryor, chime in on these ones if you're on there, Rob.
I am.
All right, first of all, what data will be shown about my application in the App Store?
Great question. So there's a few things I would like to highlight with this one, which is in data-wise, in the App Store, there'll be a place where you can upload marketing collateral, screenshots, etc. There'll also be a place for verified teacher reviews. Next, if your application isn't a library app and hasn't been previously installed with the district, we'll have some layer of data aggregation that will be like a proxy to demonstrate popularity across the platform for your application. So if your app's already in the Clever library, that just happens automatically. But if you're a secure sync application, we'll work with you to sort of customize that page.
Thanks, Rob. I have one more for you since you're on.
Yeah, sure.
What is included in a lead from the Clever App Store?
Great question. So if you get a lead from the Clever App Store, you're going to get the contact info for the district buyer. So that's the phone, email, title, etc. You'll have some indication of their readiness to purchase, whether they're considering a district-wide versus like a school-wide rollout. And then lastly, any relevant usage data in that school or district if it's applicable.
Awesome. I see a lot more questions about the API. So Emily, I'm just going to keep reading these out to you. But how do I know what API version I'm using now?
Yeah, this is a great question. So the API version is used in the calls you make to our API. So that's the best place to check. The endpoints your integration uses start with api.clever.com/v and then the version number. So if I was making calls to v3, it would be like api.clever.com/v3.0/schools.
I'll also add, if you've been recently certified with Clever, you can write into our partner engineering team at integrations@clever.com, and we'll be able to tell you, since we record that whenever you submit for certification, what your last API version was.
Awesome. Another question about API v3. If a user existed in v2 as a district admin, IDA, staff, school, IDB, and teacher, IDC, with the same email address for all three, what will the ID and legacy ID of the merged user be? So it sounds like if someone had multiple roles in a prior API version, what will the legacy ID be in v3?
Yes, this is an excellent question. Thank you, Carl. So because all three of these records are associated with the same email address, there will be one user record for this user, and the ID value will be a distinct ID. So it'll be a brand new ID for that particular user. However, that user will also be associated with all three legacy IDs. So no matter which one you have stored, or if you have all three stored, you'll be able to associate them with the new single user ID.
All right, another question about the App Store. Is the App Education Store replacing the Clever Library or something totally new directed toward the attention of district leaders, i.e. people who hold the purse strings and have decision-making power? Rob, do you want to take that one, or I can chime in if not?
I'll jump in. No, it's App Store. It's a totally new thing. If you were already a Clever Library application, you might have noticed last year we did some experiments in monetization. So now we want to open that up to everybody, Secure Sync apps included. So it's something totally new, and it's directed towards district leaders who can inform or make purchasing decisions. It's a great question, Joanne.
Awesome. Here's a quick one, which is, will you please share the Clever App Store link again? That is app-store@clever.com. And if you want to post in the Q&A saying you'd like someone to reach out to you directly, we're also happy to do that. So just leave us a note there. Another question for Emily. One request from our school clients is the ability to write info back to the SIS from our programs. Is this available via API v3?
Great question. This is not currently available with API v3. Our API is read-only. But this is a request that I've heard a couple times before. I'm happy to chat with you to discuss, what the specific ask is from your customers and figure out where that might be on our roadmap.
Excellent. Thanks, Emily. Do we know how long will API v2 be supported?
This is a great question that we don't actually have the answer to. API v2 and all associated minor versions will be supported until the release of API v4, at which point we'll begin the deprecation process, much like we're doing with API v1 today.
And Dan, something to note is that we will always give you at least a year of lead time before deprecating a major version of the API. So don't worry about that sneaking up on you. We got a couple questions about wanting to know more about the App Store. I think, Rob, if you want to elaborate a little bit, we're happy to talk through that. Or if you have specific questions about how it could work for your program, we can follow up with you directly afterwards, Angela. Was there anything you wanted to add, Rob?
Yeah, I would say actually, if you want to get questions on specifics, we have a really great sort of demo of the experience, and we probably knock off a lot of those in a dedicated conversation, something we are really open to do. So I suggest we go that channel. I think the one question you had around it, Angela, just looks like I want to go a little bit deeper to understand the use case there. So let's definitely follow up offline.
All right, I think that is all of the questions we had. There's a couple that I see that we're going to follow that are specific to your program, and for those ones, we'll follow up with you directly. But any last minute questions people wanted to ask, or shall we wrap it up? All right. So I guess that is it. Thank you everyone so much for joining. As I've mentioned, we'll send out this recording to all webinar registrants. So please keep an eye out for that. As always, thank you for attending. We hope you learned about all of the exciting product investments that we're working on this year, especially API v3. If you could not tell, we are very excited that that is now live, and we're excited to get you all upgraded soon. So have a lovely rest of your day.